Good morning. I actually woke up this morning. I usually work very late, and my little sister woke me up. So thank you. She's actually in the crowd today. Um, and so I called this. Can you guys hear me? Maybe. Can you hear me now? So I called this the journey of an unknown traveler, and the reason why I called it the journey of an unknown traveler is because I guess born in a refugee camp, basically you have no nation, as you know, because you're not basically we're living in Tanzania, so you're not really from Tanzania or you're not really from your country. And so, as someone living there, you have no nation because Tanzania does not recognize you, and your own country actually doesn't recognize you. Um, so I lived there for 13 years of my life, and early during my childhood, and these are my pictures, so that's me. I was a very swaggy kid, but early as my childhood, I was a very, very sick kid. I had bronchitis, and it was so bad that like they would literally tell my mom that this kid is probably gonna die, but I don't know. I kept like going out. I was like, "You're not gonna take me today," but for every day. So it was like a very, very tough childhood for me. But usually growing up, we had no school, and when we did have school, we had no future because living in a refugee camp, it's not like I'll get done and have some sort of internship that I'm gonna go to and then like get a job. And then for most of the time, so we had nothing to do as kids. But through all those things, living those again refugee camps, you're living like a prisoner. You can't leave. You have to literally stay in the like basically there's fences most of the time, so you can't leave. And literally one day they'll be like, "Hey, we want you guys to move to this other jungle." So they like round up all of you guys and they take literally you just take whatever you can, put you on like buses, and they ship you out in the middle of nowhere, and you start building literally from scratch. And one of the times that we moved, we were literally in a jungle for like 3 days sleeping outside during the rainy season. As we were building like houses like this is like dirt houses. And if you can imagine, it's like raining, so like all the dirt is like falling out most of the time. And so these things are real, and this is what like most people I guess see here, like mostly in America, which is simply poverty. And like I said, these are like schools that this is from my camp, and poverty and poverty and poverty. And this is actually me. I actually came to the U.S. and I was searching my camp, and for some reason, I actually found myself in an article. I was like, dude, what? That's me. And this like person came to the camp and she never asked us anything. And she had the audacity to put that was our favorite hangout. It was not. She never asked us. So, but for me, like living there, it was just very hard. But as kids growing up, this is what we saw. It was very simple life because we just lived there and we lived. We were playing soccer, and we were very, very creative people. But for us, we didn't know what creativity was. We didn't know what innovation was. And most of the time, honestly, we're making cool things like this. So, so that is called a chukuru. And what we used to do is literally, so we chop down trees and we'd literally cut them into like those shapes and then put it together. So this is a tree bark, and then we put it around like a tire, and then that's like the scooters that we use. And we use those as kids to kind of just like, not only like, have fun, but they were actually used for transport because we're basically very poor and we couldn't even afford bicycles. So we made our own. And as kids, when you can't afford toys, you build your own toys. And these were things that we would just build on our own as kids. And as you can see, these are soccer balls that we used to build. So this is literally a condom that we would blow up, and then we'd put it inside of like a plastic bag, and then we'd have like ropes and tie it around until it like basically became in a ball. and it would like be bouncy. And it's like literally a soccer ball. And if you didn't have a condom or like gloves, you would just take a bunch of plastic bags and put them together and tie it, and you had a soccer ball and you went out and played. But all these activities made time go so much faster, made times actually very easy for us to where we were not thinking about all these crazy things or what am I gonna do tomorrow. When we were hungry, we went out and played. When we were, sad, we went out and played, and we had friends and we had fun. And this is actually a guitar that was made out of oil pans. So like, we're like, super privileged, but for the things that we wanted to have, we just built our own. And so for entrepreneurship in the camps, for most people, we didn't know what entrepreneurship was. I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was until I got told in probably I think it was like 2013, I got told what entrepreneurship was. But people were doing that same thing, those same things in the camp every day. And this is like a stove, and the coolest thing about entrepreneurship there is that it wasn't really about selling, but it was actually helping your neighbors. And so we would have like stoves like this, or someone would figure it out, because for this, you would have to just put wood and it would be like very smoky, but someone figured that out and they told everybody about it. So everybody in the camp was building those because they actually had some sort of regulator for where the smoke was going out, because the regular ones where you just put wood together, it was just really bad. And like, so it would get very smoky in whatever you're actually cooking in. But for my entrepreneurship journey, so for this first of all, like the chukura that we were building, we started actually building those and we would sell it to other kids. So basically it was like whoever built the best ones, basically not only got the ladies, but actually got to be the basically coolest kids on the block. But one day I got this I think I got sent like $1 from a friend of mine from Canada. And this was, I believe, like 2008 when Obama won. And I was like, I could probably go spend most of this money because I love going to movies. It's like I could spend this money to keep going to movies, or I could go to movies for free. So what I did is I bought this literally gum called Obama, and I would basically, it was like about 2 cents to go to the movies. So I'd take this to the movies and I would go sell those. So I'd basically go to the movies for free because I would actually just make my money back there and actually make more. So I'd get paid to go to the movies. But through this, I actually learned my first business lesson, to which I was literally giving out candy for free to girls when they asked. So I went out of business. But that was my first thing. And then when I moved to the US, first impression was, so the food was terrible, but the people are really awesome. And the thing was, I was very excited to go to school because I thought, like, especially like in movies, when I would see like kids on computers, like doing all this, I would always think like you guys were solving the world problems. And when I got here, I was like, oh, like, I don't know, school's killing my vibe, honestly. So I was like, for me, like, especially being in school, I thought I was like, but for my teacher, I was the funny kid. And usually, so I made the kids laugh, but I was really dumb, or I felt dumb. But so what I did was, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make my own school. So I started learning random stuff. I was into graphic design, DJing, videography, photography. I did all the things I could just like learn and put my hands on. And so I was saying, like, teachers didn't know that I was literally a beast in the streets. And the whole time, like, I just felt, so when I go to school, I feel dumb. But when I get home, I'm like, I'm the best ever because I'm learning all these things. And so as a high school kid, I was like just super bored. But what I understood was awareness without action is just honestly useless. So I went out and I said I was gonna go solve boredom in the classroom. And this was literally one of the hardest things that I had to embark on. And what I found out was actually entrepreneurship required a different animal out of me. And this animal has to be very empathetic and creative at the same time. And when I say empathetic and creative is because for most people, you're not being creative for yourself, you're being creative for someone else. But you're solving problems for someone else, and you're solving someone else's pains. And it's very hard. And in order to do that, you have to listen. You have to analyze and actually figure out what's actually going on. Because as I was building my company, I found out that the problem of boredom that I was solving was not an actual problem. It was a symptom of teachers basically being public speakers who don't really know their audience. And so from there, I was like, you know what? I actually understand the problem that I'm solving. So I took action, and there's just a lot of persistence in the way. And then in the way, I was having fun, honestly. And so for me, one thing that I really wanted you guys to understand from this, going back to my roots, is creativity really cannot be measured. And that's everyone's creative if you're problem solving. We didn't know what creativity was, or, because for me, that's just a buzzword, be creative, just problem solve, and you'll be 100 times better for yourself, and just don't think about it that much. Because honestly, I always think about, I go to a class, and the teacher's like, be very creative on this project. I'm like, well, I could just problem solve and write random stuff. How do you know that I'm being creative? There's no way to actually measure that. So do what makes you happy. And if you think that whatever makes you happy is creative, then you're creative. And just take the experience, and that experience that I'm talking about, especially for me, just learning and learning for all those DJing, photography. When I decided to go broke and go into entrepreneurship, you know what happened? I didn't have money. So all those things that I was actually learning through high school, my teacher from the Night Center was like, hey, we're building a media team, and you can actually come work for us. Now I do videography and photography for the Night Center and ESU. And these are just things that I was just learning without actually knowing what I was gonna do with it. I was just super curious about whatever topic I was doing. And so for me, again, going back to roots, I was, talking about experience. So this summer I went to Hawaii, and when I was at Hawaii, I was hiking up this mountain trail. It was literally, like I said, I'm from Africa, so we had mountains everywhere, but this one was very steep. And I was super tired, but my friends were like, dude, just let's keep going. At the top, it's gonna be this beautiful view. And I'm like, dude, I don't see anything. I look back. It was very, very challenging. But the biggest thing that I started thinking as I'm going up, I'm like, when I started in 2016 as an entrepreneur, I didn't know anyone. It was so easy for me to just be snatched out and say, I quit. It was so easy. But the time I actually got on 1 Million Cups stage, I started growing roots. And these roots got stronger. The more people that, basically were coming into my network, the stronger I got. The more that I talked to mentors, the stronger I got. The more that I learned, the stronger I got. And these roots were just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, until now it's so hard for anybody to actually pull me out of, you're never gonna be an entrepreneur. No, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, because guess what? I have so many people around me, and my roots in whatever that I'm doing is actually very strong. And so what I learned is just have, really awesome people around you, learn a lot, and just show up. Show up at things like this. So thank you for coming. But showing up is very, very important, because that's how you actually know what's going on in your community or whatever you're getting into. And throughout my whole years of experiencing, I've met a lot of awesome people. So that's the Surgeon General of the United States. I was hanging out with him. That's the Rotten Tomatoes founder. I had a tomato, so we took a picture. And that's Guy Raz. And I don't know if you guys know how I built this, but I was in the summer literally just having beer with the Instagram founders. And I was thinking, I was like, dude, I'm having beer with Instagram founders and Spanx founders, and we're just chilling. I'm like, how did I get here? And what I found out, I would just trace it back to my mentors who were telling me, don't quit, Chris, keep going. To my friends who were telling me every day, yo, man, I really love what you're doing. You're inspiring me. And that just telling me that, just made, again, my roots a way more stronger, to where it's oh, man, these people actually really believe in me. And to, I guess, the root of it all, my family, who have been there since day one, way back in the camp to where, like I said, we had no future. Like we were living in a place where we didn't know if America was gonna be coming, Australia, Switzerland. Literally, you're living for 13 years of your life waiting for someone to give you a chance. And and so like I don't know, I was kind of like think about it. I'm like, holy moly, we lived there for 13 years waiting for that one thing. But the whole time, again, it was kind of just going back to that mountain to where I was just climbing, and our parents are just telling us like, yo, we're gonna make it one day. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And that just not only put us give us hope, but it made us a lot more stronger to where like even when I'm here, it's very easy for me to go into entrepreneurship because I just don't think about it so much. I'm just literally having fun through that whole thing and just like doing what I need to do for my business to be good and just connecting with as many people as I could connect with. And so I just wanted to leave you guys with this. It's not about what happens in your life, it's about what you do with it. Like I said, my roots are very strong. And like from where I've been to where I am right now, I don't think I'm anywhere like close to, being some billionaire or anything. But throughout the way, I was just having fun in the camps. And when I came here, like when school was like iffy, I just had fun on my own. And when I got into entrepreneurship, I'm just having fun. And through it all, I found friends who we have the same mindset. And through it all, I had mentors who are not just mentors to me. They've become kind of like family, to where I can go to them as, like as friends, and I can go to them as like, yo, today sucks. And they can either literally say, yo, get your stuff together, or they could be like, hey, Chris, man, just keep going. And finding those friends is one of the most important things you could do in your life, because that doesn't only inspire other people, but it actually inspires you to be more creative. But then I guess remember, creativity is basically just problem solving. So just don't think about it too much and just go solve all the world problems. Thank you.